Well, it's fall, and we've got the perfect day to be talking about topwater. Now, topwater action can last actually into early winter. Many times I get bites on topwater, not a lot of bites, but they're always good bites. When water temperatures are 51, 52 degrees, always seems that cold water doesn't affect a large bass as much as it does a smaller bass. So topwater strategies can be very important this time of the year. I've got a couple things here that are kind of alternative, a little bit different thought processes about topwater. And one of which is a relatively new bait in my arsenal, a wake bait. Wake baits have always been very thin, long profiled, but sometimes I need to have one that I can move with pretty good speed. And this one right here is a perfect example. This is a Strike King 2.5 wake. And the unique thing about this bait is it has a good shad body shape. It has the bill angle that is vertical almost, which creates a very wide wobble. But most wake baits do not have the ability for speed. Sometimes that little hint of speed is what it takes to get that bass to eat it. Because bass following a topwater bait many times kind of do the NASCAR thing and they draft that bait. They just track it. They get right behind that bait. As that bait moves, they get behind it and they need something to make them think that it's getting away or trigger them. So speed is the big deal. And this wake bait has a great knocker in it, which is loud. It pulls fish from a very long way. You can hear that low single rattle in there. So as it's crawling on top of the water, if I speed it up, you can hear that difference, that knock, 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 knock. Very hypnotizing, but if I speed it up a little bit, it makes a different sound, causes that fish to commit to it. This particular bait is really good as that water temperature falls and the fish still haven't moved out of the shallow water yet and are heading toward those wintertime patterns. This thing throws a big, wide, wobbling wake. Big fish eat this thing on top. Big fish are notorious for being topwater feeders. One of the things I like to do with this is I fish this on big line, 17 to 20 pound line. I want this to help keep the diameter line, help keep the nose of this bait up and keep it high in the water column. Really a cool, fun way. Topwater is always exciting to all of us because it is so visual, so visual. Using a perfect cranking rod here. This is a composite rod to allow that fish to get it. I'm terrible. I can't get past this with my own personal fishing. I'm terrible about wanting to take a bait away from a topwater bait that's moving fast, take that bait away from fish. So this slower action rod helps me do that. I like to follow that up with an old Buzzbait, old tour grade Buzzbait here. There's several little options with this. I love to throw a black one in the fall, just a straight black one. I don't know what the profile is about this that makes those fish bite this thing, but one of the things I like to do is I start bending on this thing. You can hear it's got a great squeak on this bait. That is a very important thing. But if I want to make my Buzzbait retrieve slower, and in the fall, I only really want a plop, plop, plop. I'm almost using this like a wake bait. I don't want it to move fast. I don't want it to buzz, buzz, buzz. I just want it to plop. I'll bend this bait and change the angle of this bottom part of the wire so I have more drag in the water. That slows that bait down. When I'm fishing this bait, it is just plop, 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 plop. I always have my rod tip up and I keep this bait just barely making away. I've caught some of the biggest bass I've ever caught on topwater in the low 50s, 51, 52 degrees on a buzzbait. Now, it's a technique that I don't get a lot of bites on, but when I do, they're generally about this far between the eyes. Big line again is a key, 17 to 20, and just retrieve that bait fast enough that it's plop, 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 plop. Get you those big, big bites. Always put a Gamakatsu trailer hook on the back of your buzzbaits, and that'll get you a lot more bites that you wouldn't have gotten. And then here's a new bait. It's called a hard knock. It's a version of the sexy dog. Hear how loud this darn thing is? Knock, knock, knock. This hard knock is a new version of the sexy dog. Allows me to make long casts and call fish from distance. We don't have a lot of techniques in which we use in bass fishing that bring fish to us. Think about it. You pitch a jig under a boat dock. You throw a spinnerbait by a piece of cover. You skip a worm way back up under a boat. We have to go towards those fish. But this is one opportunity, because it's so loud and so obnoxious with that hard knock in it, it pulls fish from distance, particularly in clean water. This may pull fish from 15 to 20 to 25 feet of water with this loud, hard knock. That's one of the most beautiful things about this thing. It walks easy, it's got that easy side-to-side action that you expect from the Sexy Dog. And this particular Topwater, again, this is a black lab color. Everybody knows I'm a dog lover, so I love this black lab color. They can see it from distance because it has a good silhouette. On dark days like I have today, this is the perfect Topwater day. Overcast, a little bit of wind, a little bit of light wind makes a big difference with your Topwater. Dark colors on dark days, and then on those bright days in which you're out here fishing a Topwater bait, use white-bellied lures like this one right here, so they can see the white belly as it's a shad-based population they're feeding on. This they can see even that much further. Alternatives for Topwater. Don't do things the same way everybody else does. Be a little bit different, using darker colors, bigger baits, and fishing that Topwater a little slower. You guys are going to land a lot more that are this long instead of this long.